Welcome back, everyone. The snow is nearly all gone. The birds are refurbishing their nests. There is a hint of green on the lawn, and spring has arrived. After spending most of the past year at home because of COVID-19, it's great to get outside. By the way, have you noticed my new hoodie? It's a gift from an Asian fan of mine, and it came all the way from Shenzhen, China. The quality is just exceptional. A very nice silky texture with a picture of my favorite dog. For those who don't know, I used to breed and show West Highland White purebred terriers. Perhaps one day I will have a Westie again, but for now I'll be satisfied with my hoodie. If you notice me in the crowd somewhere, say hello. In 1967, our family of now 5 were still renting the 3-story rooming house on 80th Avenue and 107th Street in Edmonton. I entered graduate studies in educational administration and had a small office in the education building. But I did not spend much time there. I did have 2 exceptionally good friends at the university. David Moss from England, a teacher who had taught for Northland School Division, and Larry Gilbert from Montana, USA, a past superintendent of schools who was in the same program as me. Larry was my closest friend, and we spent most of our time outside of classes in coffee shops or libraries discussing what went on in our classes. We were more entrepreneurial and interested in business, but we were on track to become professional administrators of public or private schools. We compared thoughts and had long, heated discussions at times. I am sure that I would not have made it through the program if it were not for Larry. Most of the other students were all serious about their status in the profession. We were both very practical and wanted to learn practical skills and knowledge that would help us with the challenges we had experienced as school principals. At that time, the program required that I have an advisor. Dr. William D. Nill, a past superintendent of Northland School Division, who would supervise me in the writing of a thesis. It was the final requirement of a Master's of Education and would be printed as a book which would be placed in the university library. My thesis was to be a history of public education of Métis people in the province of Alberta. And I did get a $500 bursary to help pay for the research and required travel. I will explain in a future blog why that thesis was never completed. David Moss was another good friend who eventually received a Doctor of History from the U of A. David introduced me to the challenging board game of diplomacy, which we played with 4 to 7 other players, mostly professors, at Dave's apartment. Games would start at 6 p.m. on a Friday or Saturday and go until the wee hours of the morning. It was normal to play games lasting 10 to 12 hours. The longest game of diplomacy started on July 2nd, 2012, and ended on February the 13th, 2016. It took 3 years, 7 months, and 10 days to finish one game. These two quotes describe this game to a T. Luck plays no part in diplomacy. Cunning and cleverness, honesty and perfectly timed betrayal are the tools needed to outwit your fellow players. The most skillful negotiator will climb to victory over the backs of both enemies and friends. Who do you trust? This t-shirt exists and is wholly accurately. Diplomacy, destroying friendships since 1959. If you want a game that has broken marriages and ruined friendships, this is your game. It may not have started any wars, but Cold War icons John F. Kennedy and Henry Kissinger were fans. If you want a game of epic plotting, tense confrontation, conspiracy, betrayal, and backstabbing, then you're after the evilest game of them all, diplomacy. My advice is that if you are at all interested in becoming involved in politics or diplomacy, you should start playing this game with your friends as a youth, or online if you have no friends. Be sure to watch for an upcoming blog when I attend Dave's wedding in Hyannisport, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a home close to the Kennedy compound. At the same time I was meeting my university obligations, I was spending even more time at the JC office, where I began by editing the weekly I and a monthly publication, working as a reporter, creating content to go with photos, and doing a lot of cutting and pasting before running it off on our manual office Gestetner. One of my other duties was to arrange for guest speakers who could motivate the membership to attend our monthly dinner meetings. I was amazed when I was able to get well-known political figures to fly at their expense to Edmonton to speak to our group. Successful arrangements were made with Duff Robin, past president of Manitoba, 1958 to 1967. John Turner, future federal minister of justice and then finance minister for 1968 to 1975, plus Prime Minister of Canada for a short time in 1984. And Jean Chrétien, future Prime Minister of Canada, 1993 to 2003. Greeting them at the airport, arranging for a press conference, making sure they were well taken care of for the entire day and evening, and of course, seeing them off on their return flight. The knowledge and skills gained from being a JC are certainly worth the effort, and I encourage ambitious young men and women to join a club. My interest in business was always present, and when an Evelyn Woods speed reading demonstration was being advertised at a local motel, I attended with 2 other students. When we arrived 15 minutes early, the room was already full, and we realized there was substantial demand. At the end of the demonstration, a line formed immediately to pay the $99 cost of the course for the Evelyn Woods speed reading course. We were so convinced and motivated, the 3 of us started a partnership called EduVac and offered a course that was 4 evenings long for $45. My other 2 partners were president and secretary, and I was the treasurer. We knew the theory behind speed reading and all the equipment necessary, mainly a stethoscope, was available for us to borrow at the library. We quickly created a 3-fold EduVac brochure and set up, at no cost, a table and chair in the entrance to the Student Union building. On our first day, we ran out of brochures, and 3 days later, I was surprised to see 15 plus envelopes with checks inside in my mailbox. We trained 2 part-time high school English teachers to run the evening and weekend classes, and were in business 1 week later. The university was even willing to let us use, free of charge, 2 empty classrooms in the engineering building. It all seemed too good to be true, and after 2 months, we became paranoid that we would be found out and at the minimum be suspended from the graduate program. So we closed the business and split the money, which was nearly all profit. While this was all happening, the owners of the rooming house wanted our family to move out in 2 weeks because they had received their necessary demolition and construction permits to build an apartment. They offered to move us 4 blocks away at no cost or rent for the next 2 months, and we agreed. Before the time was up, we agreed to move again to an even newer furnished house, complete with a grand piano. During the summer of 1968, I was waiting to be assigned to a Northland School Division school when Alberta New Start Inc. was established in Lac-La-Biche, Alberta, as part of the federal government's initiative to research basic adult education. They offered me the position of center supervisor for Janvier and to pay back the $500 bursary I had received from Northland School Division. They agreed, but not before a news item appeared in the Edmonton Journal about New Start poaching top staff from Northlands. Next week, I would like to share one of my deepest interests as I have aged on April 6, 2021. Bye for now from Grandpa Humbke, and I hope that you are able to get outside and enjoy a warm spring.